We live in an age of more. More products, more screens, more promises of happiness packed inside boxes, subscriptions, and glowing logos. Yet somehow, the more we have, the less it feels like enough. Aristotle and Epicurus predicted this emptiness more than 2,000 years ago. Neither had to witness smartphones or luxury cars to know the futility of chasing joy through things. They saw clearly what modern psychology now confirms. Happiness isn't something you buy, it's something you build. Aristotle called it eudaimonia, not fleeting pleasure, but deep, lasting flourishing. He argued that happiness is the natural result of living virtuously, using reason to fulfill one's potential. It's not a passing feeling. It's a lifelong practice. We are what we repeatedly do, he wrote. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. For Aristotle, the good life wasn't measured by possessions, but by purpose, by how well our daily actions express the best within us. But not the kind found in excess. True pleasure was freedom from pain and fear, a calm state he called ataraxia. It came not from wild indulgence, but from simplicity, good food in moderation, deep friendships, and freedom from constant desire. Nothing, he wrote, is enough for the man to whom enough is too little. Contrast that with today's culture. Every advertisement tells us happiness waits just one purchase away. The new phone, the better body, the upgrade that will finally prove we matter. We've mistaken stimulation for satisfaction. Modern psychology calls this hedonic adaptation. It means the emotional high from new things quickly fades as we adjust to them. The desire renews, and the peace dissolves. The life of money-making, he said, is one undertaken under compulsion, and wealth is merely useful for something else. In other words, possessions are tools. Epicurus would agree, but add a crucial insight. Happiness isn't built by filling life, but by simplifying it. When he gathered followers in his garden on the outskirts of Athens, they lived quietly, cooking simple meals, discussing philosophy, and valuing friendship above wealth. Epicurus believed most of our suffering comes from mistaken beliefs, mainly the belief that we need more to be content. When you limit your desires to what is natural and necessary, peace follows automatically. Modern consumer culture runs on the exact opposite formula. It multiplies desire faster than satisfaction can ever catch up. Every innovation solves one inconvenience, but creates a dozen new cravings. We upgrade without asking, will this add meaning or just more noise? Even neuroscience supports the ancients here. Dopamine, the chemical of pursuit, spikes not when we get what we want, but in anticipation of it. We feel most alive on the hunt, not in possession. That's why shopping feels exciting, but ownership often feels flat. The chase, not the capture, drives modern life, an endless treadmill of temporary highs. Stillness, integrity, and community. Aristotle's happy person I sent to detach from the world, but engaged with it through purpose, fulfilling their nature through skill, curiosity, and contribution. Together, they described a balance our modern world forgot. Strive where it matters. Simplify where it doesn't. Practically, that means questioning the invisible habits of consumption. Before buying something, ask yourself, Will this truly serve my well-being? Try to measure wealth not by your possessions, but by your time, your attention, and your freedom. Replace performative success with meaningful pursuits. Learn, create, help, connect. Positive psychology echoes these same conclusions. Studies find that once our basic needs are met, material wealth contributes very little to happiness. What lasts are relationships, purpose, autonomy, and gratitude, essentially the same pillars Aristotle and Epicurus built their philosophies on 2 millennia ago. So why do we keep chasing? Because consumer culture equates happiness with image. You not buying the object, you buying a story of being admired for having it. But admiration fades much faster than contentment. Epicurus might smile at our chaos. He often said, wisdom begins with remembering how little we really need. His cure for greed wasn't the rejection of pleasure, but the education of desire, teaching the mind to want less and enjoy more deeply. Aristotle would call for balance, the golden mean. Not asceticism, not excess, but harmony between ambition and virtue. Happiness, he'd remind us, grows from the inside out, from reason, generosity, and self-discipline, not from the restless glitter of possessions. Imagine uprooting that ancient wisdom into our present lives. You walk into a store filled with marketing light and whisper the old Greek challenge, will this help me flourish or merely distract me? Instantly, some desires lose their magic. Because what Aristotle and Epicurus both knew, and what modern psychology reproves daily, is that happiness is a skill, not a product. It's a muscle of attention, trained to find richness in ordinary things. A conversation, a moment of curiosity, a sunset taken slowly. These are things that money can't magnify, only mindfulness can. The philosopher Alain de Botton once said, there's no such thing as consumer satisfaction, only consumer relief. Relief ends, meaning endures. So as the world sells you new versions of happiness each week, remember the old equation. Desire minus attachment equals peace. Flourish like Aristotle. Simplify like Epicurus. And let happiness return to where it always lived. Not in things, but in the art of being alive. Thanks for watching. If this video gave you something to think about, consider subscribing for more content like this. See you in the next one.